Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We are live here at Reinforce 2023 in Anaheim. My name is Cydney Stude, and I'm joined by Sarah Currey. We are going to talk about inclusive security today. Sarah, hi. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Inclusive security is so important, and something that we had talked about was actually how you can build inclusive and diverse teams to strengthen your security. So super excited to be here and talk to you, Cydney.
Awesome. Yay, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So this is the next episode in the Women in Cybersecurity series for Reinforce this year. We have 4 total happening, and you can catch the clipped recordings after the event.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump in. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Sarah, you are a practice manager.
I am.
How do you implement inclusive security into your team?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things that we try and think about when it comes to being inclusive on our team, specifically with security. Something that comes up a lot is with technology. There's a lot of antiquated terms such as master-slave, talking about databases, whitelist, blacklist, and they're really rooted in non-inclusive systems, and so we try and change those over to be more primary and replica, allow list, deny list, and so little things like that, even in our language, is a really good way to make sure you're including people on your team. Another really simple, easy one is just checking in on people. So a lot of people after COVID are super burnt out, needing to check in because, we're people outside of our security professions. So making sure that people are doing well with their families, pets, stuff like that. So that's always a good way to check in.
Yeah, absolutely. Being people first who are doing the job, right?
Exactly, yeah. And we focus a lot on our technology defenses, but also when it comes to humans, making sure that we're checking in with people so that there's been studies actually that show that the more engaged you are with employees and more included they feel, the less likely you will have insider threats. So it's really interesting.
Really, that is very interesting. Team culture is such an important driver behind just like a good work culture, a good management style. That's awesome, Sarah. Yeah. So what tips would you give for people that are trying to build in inclusivity to their team?
Yes. So there's a number of different things that you can do. Obviously, depending on your maturity of your team, with inclusion and diversity, it might start in different places. There's low-hanging fruit. So when I was mentioning the inclusive language, we actually have a Python script that we can run to essentially alert us when we're using non-inclusive language. So it helps us to remove that from our documentation, which is really nice. Some other aspects that we do is we actually have technical field communities. So similar to Affinity Groups, so we have the AWS Women in Security, but we also have the Security TFC, and that's a place that just anyone who's interested in security can come together and learn more, and it really creates that supportive, collaborative environment to help support each other.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. So groups for people that are living a similar walk or...
Exactly, yeah. And then even people that come from different walks of life, because with security, we're protecting so many different types of customers. And how can you make sure that your security team reflects those different types of people? So thinking about not only just gender diversity and racial diversity, but neurodiversity, people that come from military backgrounds, age diversity, cultural diversity, and all of these different melting pots of ideas that come together and allows you to think around the corners when it comes to your different security gaps and how to mitigate those.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
It has such an important place in the workplace culture.
Exactly.
Making people feel included, seen, heard, and understood and recognized for who they are.
Yeah, and you actually told me recently that your team was doing origin stories, which I love. I want to implement that.
Yes.
I think that's so cool, and to learn more about where people have come from on your team and how you got into security and things like that.
It was a strategy that our practice manager, who was just on, Robert Saul, he was on the last broadcast, but he implemented it for us as our team changes and evolves over time for us to continue to get to know each other just on a rolling basis. So our team calls, we all hear, we take turns, whoever's comfortable sharing their origin story, like just, background, like where did you grow up, where did you, and it's awesome to see the different stories. There's so many different people that bring so much to the table. Diversity is really our strength. I'm sure you have thoughts on that.
Well, and even I came from a non-traditional background, so I actually did healthcare legislation and got put on a project that was going to last 25 years, and I was like, I think I need to move into a little bit of a faster pace. So I got into technology, but even before that, I think we had talked about, our teenage years and getting into some fun aspects of security. I used to play around with some fun social engineering with my friends to get to know their security questions and things like that. So it's like we had different ways of getting into security, which was kind of fun.
Absolutely. So, everybody has their, insecurity specifically. I think my personal take is that everybody has their interests in security, right? Like there's the things that like we do, but then there's the things that like we want to research and we want to dive into.
Yeah.
And the different like niche roles that people have, it really brings a different kind of strength to the table.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
The social engineering stuff, like understanding networking at a deep level.
Yeah.
Like just different technical things where security is such a big topic that you will never know all of it, but you can know part of it and lean on your team to help fill in the gaps.
Exactly.
Super.
And that goes back to the inclusive security that people are going to be interested in different things and, like you said, come from different lived experiences where it's going to inform what they're thinking about, especially when you think about like risk mitigation strategies and even like being more looking into like the security awareness and like different initiatives within your security organization. So it makes it really interesting.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you're doing the work on that team. So are you involved with any affinity groups or know of any here at AWS?
Yeah, so Amazon has a lot of different affinity groups. So there's the women at Amazon. There's also the Black Employee Network group, military group. I've been working to build the Amazon Women in Security group, which has been great. So we have Amazon Women in Security and then specifically focusing on AWS. So looking at how can we bring together more women, not only that already in cybersecurity roles, but also that want to move into that parallel. So building out programs. We have one at Amazon called the Amazon Aspiring Security Engineer, which is really cool because it takes people that are already high performing, high aptitude, and curious about learning more about security and helping to get them into that career path. And speaking about different types of backgrounds, it's really cool because as we know, cybersecurity can be life-changing in terms of getting out of poverty and creating that generational wealth. So that's also a really cool aspect where not only with inclusion and diversity, you have that social responsibility, but again, the more perspectives are helping to increase your security, creativity, and innovation.
Absolutely. The different backgrounds bring so much more to the table.
Exactly.
Whether you have a degree, whether you're self-taught, whether you came in with certifications, whether you learned on the job.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many ways to break into cybersecurity or just to continually learn about it. I think we should highlight our differences.
Exactly.
There.
And one quick low-hanging fruit tip that we try and help with other companies is when you're looking at job descriptions, making sure that you're not putting so many basic qualifications that are hard to reach, or that maybe when it comes to non-traditional backgrounds, people might not have a degree in computer science, and that's fine. They might not have cybersecurity as their degree, but thinking about different types of traits that you're looking for. So at Amazon, we have Learn and Be Curious. So looking for people who are interested in learning, that are looking around corners and diving deep into security so that you can actually build those technical skills later on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can build those skills at any walk of life,
yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
Leadership skills can be learned outside of tech. And like if you want to break into tech, maybe you're still in school, maybe you're not quite ready to yet, you can get leadership in your community. You can build those soft skills so that when you transition in, they follow you.
Exactly. And vice versa, if you have technical skills and you're wanting to really dive into other things, it's great to get a well-rounded view of security because, like we talk about, is people, process, and technology, and looking at all different aspects of those defenses. So.
All three. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a pivot.
Yeah.
What are some ways that someone who is an ally can assure that they are supporting women? So back to like the women in cybersecurity.
Yes. So with women in cybersecurity, there's a lot of different ways that people can be allies. So some of them that I really love is amplifying underrepresented voices. So something that when it comes to being a woman in cybersecurity, there's multiple statistics that look at that women feel like they constantly aren't heard in meetings and that their ideas are being taken credit for. And so a way that you can be an ally to other underrepresented people is when a woman voices an idea or a key point in a meeting that could be helpful to your team, you would repeat that. So I would say, oh, Cydney, that's a great idea that you had about EKS malware implementation. And so then that would be giving the credit back to you so that people listen listen to you. It stops the conversation. People actually talk about it. And it will create a more equitable environment so that you're more likely to bring up new ideas in the future and you feel more included. So that's a really great way for allies. Also, speaking about different types of allies, there's a male allyship, which is always great. I have one of my male mentors who I absolutely love. He actually has a rule that he won't speak on panels unless there's diversity. So he always asks, is there other underrepresented people on the panel? And if not, then he will decline and recommend an underrepresented person in his place, which is really cool.
That is so powerful.
Yeah.
That is so powerful.
Yeah, and I think stuff like that, even though it seems small, it's so impactful to people's careers, because even just one speaking opportunity can get your foot into a door for other security opportunities, which is really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is so awesome.
Yeah, and also with women in cybersecurity, something that I think is important is women can be allies to other women too.
Yes.
And so I have a lot of privilege as a white woman, and I can help in a lot of different ways. And so recognizing how I can lift up other women within cybersecurity. So though I'm probably still early in my career, about 10 years in, I always try and mentor women that are in high school and college to help open the door to even more women as they come into the security field.
That's awesome. And what could that look like in the workplace? Would that just be I could think of a few examples, lifting up other women when in meetings, or when somebody has a good idea and they mention it in the break room.
Yeah.
Bringing it back and being like, hey, so-and-so had a great idea. Let's make time to talk about that. Rearranging schedules. What do you think of some others?
So something, especially now that I'm a hiring manager, that I try and practice as much as I possibly can is sponsorship. So I'm in meetings where they're talking about, who should take on this cool new initiative to help implement it. And I can be in the room to say, Cydney would be great for that. She's been wanting to get more into incident response. She wants to do X, Y, and Z, and allow your name to be present for that decision. So that sponsorship has been a really key aspect for me in my career. So I'm trying to do that more for women that are earlier in their career.
Awesome. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So I know we're coming up on time.
Yes.
Is there any key takeaways that you would have for the audience before we say goodbye?
Absolutely. So a couple of things with women in cybersecurity. Definitely make sure that you're assessing a baseline. So I'll have some resources that I can share out, but essentially looking at different metrics to see where you're doing with your inclusion and diversity for women on your team. Women in cybersecurity actually did a state of inclusion report and saw that women didn't necessarily feel included on their cybersecurity team. So some key takeaways are determine those metrics so you can see how you're doing, and that will help you to essentially validate what you're doing now and iterate and find any gaps in the future. Also mentorship, so like we talked about with mentoring others, but also reverse mentor. So if you're an executive, being willing to learn from people that are earlier in their career about how you can be more inclusive, which I think is really key.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Sarah, thank you for joining for this episode.
Thank you so much.
Sarah Currey and Cydney Stude, we are going to sign off briefly, and we'll be back with a wrap-up for the day.
Thank you.